A very good morning to everyone. This is Project Target's first day of the free seminar series we are conducting as a helping hand to all the A-level students who are sitting for A-levels this year. And joining with us today is Sir Arshad Sufi Ismail, who's an undergraduate of University of Colombo, as well as who placed in the top 50 rank in the 2017 A-level exam. So today, Sir will be covering a very important part, which is credit creation in the 7th chapter. And I would lastly humbly like to request everyone to make the most out of today. And over to you, Sir.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Asna. Thank you for that small, lovely introduction. And right, give me a second. Hold on. Right. Okay. Before we start, before we get into anything, can you all let me know if you all are doing good? Is everything all right? How's your day going? Yes. Yep. Right. So a few things just to let you all know before we start. Okay. This session is streamed live on Zoom and also on YouTube. I think the Zoom slots are full, right? So there is 300 slots. That's right now it's full. So there will be a YouTube link as well. So in case your friend is struggling, in case your friend is wondering why he can't join, maybe you can pass on the YouTube link to him so that he could join live from YouTube. But once again, through YouTube, the only disadvantage is you will not be able to ask questions and not be able to respond. But nevertheless, you should be there. You should be able to learn the topic, right? So before we start, I'll set in a few ground rules. I'll say not rules, but a few things that I would like you all to do so that you all could benefit, right, from this session. Okay. So first things first, okay, I want all of you all to be sitting on a chair, right? I know it's a very cold morning, right? The perfect time to still be in bed covered in your blanket, right, hugging your pillow, my voice playing in the background. I know that is the case with some of you all, but if that is the case, you're not going to learn credit creation, right? So if you really want to get this done, right, get up, right? I'll take maybe another couple of minutes to get started. So get up, run around, sit on your table. You might be on your phone, maybe on your laptop. That's perfectly all right. I have sent you a tute that we will be doing today. If you have a printout of it, perfect. But I totally understand not everyone has a printout of it, right? That's perfectly fine. Get a piece of paper, right? Maybe have a few A4 sheets, maybe even a foolscap or two, right? So get that sorted with you, right? Stay seated, right? We'll get the questions done. Maybe write the question number, write the answer. I want you all to practice these questions. Now, credit creation is not a thing that you all can just look at my face, right? And it's going to go into your head. It's not going to work that way. And I don't know if this is good news or bad news, right? This will be ideally the very last opportunity that you would get to learn credit creation, right? Because after this, with, I don't know, 40 days to go now, right? For A-levels, you will not get one more opportunity unless you can have maybe an individual teacher. If not for that, this is your one last opportunity. So I have prepared a summary, right, to complete this entire area in 2 hours. Ideally, this is an area that would take me around 6 hours to teach, but I've summarized it as much as possible so that we could learn this in 2 hours. So we'll start, right? On your end, I want you all to be super active on the chat box so that I know that you all are understanding, so that I know that I don't need to explain, maybe go on too much if you all know the concept. So depending on the amount of replies that I get, depending on the number of correct answers I get, I know the level that I need to explain this, right? So that's it from me for the very beginning. Are we good to go? Are we good to start? Is everything all right, guys? In the middle, you all might have a few connection issues, right, here and there. Some of you all might feel like you might not hear me clearly. If that is the case for everyone, let me know. But if not, right, like I've always told, maybe in all of my classes also, any connection issue, simple thing that you do, leave the meeting, join back, right? So maybe sometimes if you leave, you might not be able to join back to Zoom because Zoom is full, right? At least head on to the YouTube live, okay? So shall we get going? Let's start. Nice. Okay. So we'll start off with this section, right, guys? I will be going a little fast, right? Because I'm teaching this to someone who has learned at least who has heard what credit creation is, right? Now, with 40 days to go to A levels, I'm with the assumption that you have at least learned. You might not be perfect with credit creation, that is why you're here, right? But you at least would have heard the name credit creation. You know there is something like this. So I'm assuming that I'm teaching this to a crowd like that, and I would pace it according to that, right? So that we could learn. I'll start off with a small story, right? We'll look at how this whole banking thing works. Okay, you all already know. Okay, so give me a few answers, right? If you take a commercial bank, right? Let's say Sampath Bank, let's say Bank of Ceylon, let's say People's Bank, any of these banks. In general context, there are two main functions that they do. One is they accept deposits. So customers, maybe people like you, maybe rich people like you all, right? We all go deposit some money. What does the bank do with this money? When a customer goes and deposits money, right, into a bank, what does the bank do? Do they put it on the wall just like Harry Potter? Yes, like in Harry Potter? No. Yes, they do keep a bit in their vault, but what do they do with most of it? Most of the money, exactly, just like the answers that you all have put in. They give it out as loans. So that is how banks make a profit, guys. When you deposit, right? When you deposit some money, they say, okay, I will give you a 5% interest rate, right? You might look like, oh, it's a loss to the bank, right? They're giving me 5%. But on the same side, right? They take that money, they give out as a loan. So maybe they charge, let's say, a 10%. So they make a profit out of it. So that is the whole process of how banks work in very simple context. So what are we going to study today? We are going to look at how does this process work, right? How does a deposit come in? How does money go out from a bank? How does these loans get created, right? How is credit being created, right? I'm going to talk about that section. So before we get into all of that, there are a few basics that I would want you all to learn, right? The first thing is called a statutory reserve ratio, or we call it the SRR, right? Something that you all have already heard, something that you all already know. Okay, so what is this SRR? Now, if you look at again my second question, let's say a bank gets a deposit of 100,000. Can they give out this entire 100,000 as a loan? Yes or no? What do you all think? They can't, right? Exactly. They can't give it out as a loan. Why? They will keep a portion of it, right? They will keep a portion of it, because if not, if the customers come and ask for money, right, how are they going to repay? They don't have an opportunity to repay. So they will keep a part of the money. And also, in addition to that, the central bank has said, now remember, the central bank here is the big boss, right? Maybe the principal in your school. The central bank says, when you get a deposit, right, you need to keep a certain portion with me, right? You need to keep a part of it with you. Now, this would have happened sometimes, with your parents, right? Sometimes, maybe for a festival, maybe for something, you'll get some money, right? Your parents say, give it to me. I will keep it safe with me. You'll have you gone across with something like that? Sometimes you'll never get that back. That's a different story. But your parents say that, no, right? You get some money, give it to me. I will safely keep it with me. Others, you will spend it. Same thing is happening over here, right? So commercial banks, when they get in a deposit, the central bank says, look here, right? Give a part of it to me. I will keep it safely with me. So that is what we call the statutory reserve requirement. Guys, statute means required by law, right? Statute. So the central bank says, okay, you need to keep, let's say they give you a percentage. Okay, random question. How much is the SRR currently? It's not related to credit creation, but general knowledge. How much is the current SRR in Sri Lanka? What's the percentage? What's the percentage? Any guesses? Anything? No? I think it's roughly around 4%. They changed it recently, right? It was around 2%. They brought it up to a 4%, I think maybe 2-3 weeks ago. So what does this SRR mean? It means, okay, when you get deposits, let's say SRR is 10%, and let's assume SRR is 10%. So if a deposit comes, 10% of it, you should definitely, required by law, you need to keep it with the central bank. The remaining, you can do whatever you want. Maybe you can keep it. Maybe you can give it out as loans. You can do whatever you want with the remaining money. Yes, guys, currently the SRR is 4% in Sri Lanka, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. So then, given that that is SRR, we'll look into this. We'll look into this concept called excess reserves. Okay. Now, when a bank gets a deposit, right, the amount that they have to keep with the central bank, or that SRR, right, that is called the required reserves, right? That is the required reserves that they need to keep. But usually, banks might keep a little bit more than that required. Now, let's say 100,000 comes in. Okay, guys, follow the examples, okay? Because that's very important, right? Let's say 100,000 comes in cash. Let's say SRR is 10%, okay? How much should the bank keep as required reserves? 100,000 comes in, SRR is 10%. How much should they keep as required reserves? Exactly, they need to keep a 10,000. So let's say they actually kept a 15,000. Remember, central bank is saying required is 10. So minimum you have to keep that 10. But commercial banks can keep more than that, no problem at all. So let's say they actually kept 15 with them. How much of excess are they keeping? How much of excess? Think, 100,000 came in. CBSL said you keep 10% with you. That is 10,000. But they're keeping a 15,000 with them. How much of excess? That's a 5,000 excess. What can banks do with these excess reserves now if they have a 5,000 excess? Any excess money that they have? Exactly. Remember that these excess reserves can be given out as loans. So before we get into all of that, let's start off with a small calculation. Because I'm repeating, I know you all don't have the tute. I know you all don't have not have got it printed. Some of you all would have, right? But I totally get it. 90% of you all don't have a tute printed. But make sure that you have a piece of paper with you, right? You write maybe say illustration and then maybe do the sum with me. Once you get a printout later, then you can maybe write it down if you are to get one. Okay, because you can't be looking at the screen and learning credit creation. It's not going to work. And I'm repeating, this is your last opportunity to learn credit creation, right? If you're not going to make use of this, that's it. Okay, right. So we look at this small example, right? So I am saying, okay, excess reserves equals, right now, earlier in my example, how did you all get that 5,000? When I told you that story, you were able to figure it out, right? You said, excess reserves is 5,000. But how are you going to this thing, right? How are you going to find that? So excess reserves, guys, is your actual reserves. According to my previous example, they had actual reserves of 15,000. But central bank said that their required is only a 10,000. And from your actual, you minus the required. Now, even though you did not do it with the equation, this is the process that happened in your mind, right? I said 15,000, required was 10, right? And you calculated from your mind. You didn't even want the equation. But remember, there is an equation here. That is how this number came. So shall we do illustration number 1, guys? We'll give it a try together, right? I want answers from all of you all, okay? It might be correct, you might be wrong. We are here to learn, right? So giving answers, we'll correct, we'll move on, right? So I'll read the question out. We say, assume a commercial bank has total deposits worth 200,000. So they have got deposits of 200,000 and 80 million of reserves. So 200,000 deposits, 80 million they actually have as reserves. The remainder of the bank assets is loans. Okay, simple question. Since you all have learned credit creation, how much of loans do you think is here? How much of loans? There are 200 deposits, 80 million of reserves. How much of loans do you all think? Exactly 120. For those people who don't really know that, don't worry, we will get to that, right? Just to keep a heads up. So if the reserve ratio is 10%, guys, remember this reserve ratio 10% means 10% of your deposits. What does CBSL say? A portion of your deposits, keep it with me. So if they say SRR, guys, always it's 10% of deposits. Don't take 10% of loans, don't take 10% of reserves, don't do that. It's always 10% of the deposits. So what is the amount of excess reserves that is held by the bank? Shall we work this out? I'm saying excess reserves is equal to actual reserves, right, minus required reserves. We'll start off with a small sum. Okay, nice to see you all. Most of you all give me answers. Yes, can you all tell me how much is actual reserves? How much is actual? That will usually be given in the question. The question will say that the central bank has this much of reserves. Exactly, it's an 80 million, right? So in the question they have told us there is an 80 million of actual reserves. Then how are we going to calculate the required reserves, guys? How do we calculate that? How do we calculate this? It's exactly, I'll do the working separately maybe if you all want, right? So there is deposits. Okay, so required reserves is equal to your deposits, right? Your deposit, that is a 200 million multiplied by your SRR. So how much is our SRR in our example? That is a 10%. So how much is 10% of 200,000, guys? Simple question. It's a 20 200 million is a 20 million. So the bank actually has reserves of 80. The required amount is at 20. How much of excess do they have, guys? Do that small calculation for me. How much of excess do they have? They have a 60 million. That is your answer. Now, this is a type of question that you can get on your MCQs, right? They can ask you on your MCQs, or even on your second part, the first sub part will say, okay, calculate excess reserve, right? Now, what do they do with this excess reserve? Once again, what do they do? What can they do? They can give it out as loans, right? This excess can be given out as loans. Okay, right. So then we'll go on to the credit creation process. We'll talk of a simple example. Okay, there's a question. Other names for UCSM. Guys, these are the main terms, guys. SRR, maybe required reserves. They might give. When you all do questions, you all will be able to figure out. Don't worry, there is no complex other terms in this. You should be able to figure that out, right? Okay. So now we'll get into this, a small example, right? So I am saying in the question or in my story, I'm saying, assume an initial deposit of 100,000 comes into bank. Okay, guys, if you all have the tube, maybe can you make this bank X, right? Not bank Y, right? Bank X, which operates in a banking system with a SRR of 20%. Illustrate how this particular sum of money would go from one bank to another, creating credit. So we'll start off filling this table little by little. Okay, I want answers from you. 100,000 is coming in, SRR is at 20%. So let's put the 100,000 that is coming in to bank X, right? So a new amount of 100,000, right? So X is a single bank. Remember when I say single bank, remember people like you all, right? Still have not found your better half, not found your boyfriend or girlfriend. So single banks, banks just like you all. So there's 100,000 coming in to a bank like that. Then SRR is 20%. How much of reserves should this, was SRR 20 or 10? SRR is 20, right? So how much should this bank keep as reserves? Can you all tell me what is the number I should put over here? Yes, SRR means the statutory reserve requirement. That's the very first thing I told you in class, right? What is the new reserves? They have to keep a 20,000 with them. So how much is excess, or how much of new loans can they give them? 100,000 comes in, they keep a 20,000. Exactly. The balance 80,000, they give it out as loans. So this balance goes out as loans. Guys, according to credit creation, what is the assumption that we make? We make a very serious assumption. I've not included assumptions in my tube though, right? The assumption that we make an assumption saying that when one bank gives a loan, right? Okay. First thing is all excess reserves are given out as loans. The second assumption we say is when one customer gets a loan, he deposits that entire money into another bank. So let's say a customer who got this 80,000 loan, what would he do? He would go and put this entire 80,000 into another bank. So now you had bank X, one single bank, bank Y, your friend, right? That's another single bank. Okay, don't really go ask me why, right? This is the theory. This is the credit creation theory, right? These were not made by me. These were made 100 years ago, right? So in order to study this credit creation, there are a few assumptions. Just check whatever tute or whatever note that you have been studying, there is something like that. So this 80,000 that comes in, right, goes into another bank. So the person who takes this loan, he goes and puts it into another single bank, right? Your friend, bank Y. So he puts this 80,000. What do you think bank Y does now when they get this 80,000 of deposits? Because remember the assumption, right? Okay, when one bank gets money, they give out the excess reserve as loans. That excess reserve goes into another bank, right? That always happens, right? So what will this bank do? They will keep a portion. They will give the balance out as loans. Can you give me numbers? How much do you think they will keep out as reserves? How much? 80,000, 20% of it. How much is that? It's a 16,000. So if that is the case, how much of new loans can this bank give now? How much can bank Y give? This is a separate bank. Exactly. They can give a 64,000. What will bank Y do? The customer who took the loan from bank Y, the customer who took the loan from bank Y, he will go and give it to, or he will go and put it into another bank. He will deposit it into another bank. So this 64,000 goes as deposits to bank Z now, right? So 64,000 comes in here. What will bank Z do? For one last time, they will keep in a certain portion as SRR, keep the balance out as loans. How much do they keep as SRR? 20% of 64,000. Guys, you need to be a little bit good with your maths, a little bit good with your numbers. That's 12,800. So how much do they give out as loans? It's a 51,200. Right. Are you all okay with this process? So this is how banks create credit, guys, right? So one bank gets a deposit, it goes from one bank to another bank to another bank to another bank, right? Just like, you know, for example, when you all got this registration link for this seminar, right? You send it to your friend sends it to someone else, he sends it to someone else, right? So it goes from one bank to another bank to another bank, okay? And then now, what is a banking system? If I ask you, what is it? Now we talk of single banks now. Let's say now you got married and you are a system. What is a banking system? You're not single anymore. What is a banking system? Exactly. A banking system is a collection of all the banks. Okay, let's say maybe in your school, maybe your batch party after A-levels. Maybe have you all organized a batch party yet? No. I remember our school, we even before A-levels, we have organized our batch party, right? So let's say all these single fellows out here, right? Now they are getting into a batch party, right? Now that is the banking system. So what is a banking system? A banking system is where it's a collection of all the single banks, right? All single people like you going to the batch party, right? Same case. All single banks together is called a banking system. So now, if I ask you this question, right? Now this process keeps on going, guys. This people will get this money, they will put it over here. Some loans go out, they will go over here. So it will keep on going and going and going and going, right? You can't be doing this for 100 times, right? Until this is over. Now, if I directly put you into a question, if I ask you how much of deposits, now see, because of this 100,000 deposit, how much of more deposits was created? 80,000 was created in bank 1, 64,000 in bank Z, maybe another one in bank A, another part in bank B, another part in bank C. That is what you call, guys, credit creation. Because of one deposit, there are multiple deposits being created, credit being created, money being created, credit creation. That is where the whole topic comes. Now, if I ask you, right, at the end of this, right, at the end of the credit creation process, it goes from one bank to another bank to another bank to another bank. At the very end, how much of deposits is created? If I ask you how much of deposits is there in the banking system, in other words, if I ask you what is the addition of all of this, how are you going to figure this out? Are you going to do it 100 times until that becomes zero? Are you going to do that? No, because you can't do that. It's not practical, right? So if you want to find out, right, the deposits in the banking system because of that initial deposit, because I'm repeating, when one initial deposit comes in, it goes from one bank to another bank to another bank, right? So I'm asking you, at the end of credit creation, how much of deposits are created in the banking system? That means how much of deposits are created by all the banks. So can you keep doing this table? Can you keep doing this? You can't. So you need to find something, or you need to calculate something called a deposit multiplier. What is this deposit multiplier? Let's look at this now, right? I think it's in this page. Yeah, right, perfect. So deposit multiplier, okay, what is this deposit multiplier? You all would have heard this concept, right? I'll explain this in simple context. A deposit multiplier is used now because you can't go, no guys, you can't calculate for every single thing. You can't do 100 different calculations. But if you want to find out how much of total deposits is there in the entire banking system, you can use something called a deposit multiplier. What is the deposit multiplier? The deposit multiplier says when one deposit comes in, how many more deposits is it going to create? How much more deposits is this initial deposit going to create? There's an equation. There's a very simple equation of calculating the deposit multiplier. So it's 1 divided by your SRR, right? So in our example, right, deposit is 1. How much is our SRR, guys? How much is our SRR? 20%, right? Exactly. Okay, so 1 divided by 20, 0.05, right? 1 divided by 20, 0.05. Are we correct here? SRR is 20. Where did we go wrong? This is a common mistake students make. What was the place that you got wrong? Exactly, the percentage, right? When you put the SRR, please don't go and put a percentage here. This is 20%. You need to convert it into a decimal, guys. Now this is maths, huh? 20% as a decimal is how much? Okay. How do you get 20%? 20% means 20 over 100. So how much is it as a decimal? It's 0.2. So never go and put the percentage. If you put the percentage, it's wrong, right? You don't put percentages. You need to put the decimal over there. So it's 1 divided by 20% as a decimal is 0.02, right? So how much is this? 1 divided by 0.2. That's it. It's 5 times, right? So that means, right, 5 times. So when a deposit comes in the banking system, it will create 5 times more deposits. So then tell me, guys, if a deposit comes in, it will create 5 times more deposits. So if 100,000 came in, right? 30% directly or something. Yeah, if you're using calculators. Okay, if 100,000 came in now, tell me if it gets multiplied by 5 according to the deposit multiplier, how much of total deposits would this create? How much? Exactly, a 500,000, right? It creates a 500,000. So 100 into 5 is a 500, right? So if 100,000, it's a 500,000. So then, if I am to go back in this my example, right? Right now, if someone comes and asks you, right, what is the number over here? Are you going to calculate it, go 100 times? No. What are you going to use? You're going to use the deposit multiplier. So deposit multiplier is saying the total deposits is equal to your initial, guys, there's an equation at the end of this page, right? Bottom of the page, right? Total deposit is equal to initial deposit, that's 100,000, multiplied by the deposit multiplier. We calculated the deposit multiplier, 1 divided by 0.2, 5 times. So how much of deposit is being created over here then? It's a how much? A 500,000. So that is how you get this number. Are we okay how this number came? Anyone has questions? How did we get this total deposits here? Should be okay, right? Initial thing multiplied by the deposit multiplier. Then if I am to ask you, right, what is the new loans? What is the new reserves? What do you put as numbers over here? Let's fill this also, right? The equation I'll show you is at the bottom of the page. What is the new loans? What is the new reserves? Okay, shall we go with new reserves, guys? How much do you think this is? Guys, remember, the new reserves would be 100,000. I'll explain how does this come, right? Listen very carefully. Okay, I'm going to give you a different example. Okay, so breathe and listen. Okay, listen to this story. Let's say, right, there were 100,000 robbers, right? 100,000 robbers are rogues. Jumped into Bank X. Okay, they jumped into Bank X. From this 100,000, okay, 20,000 was caught by the police. Okay, 100,000 people jumped into Bank X. 20,000 was caught into the police. How many rogues are left now, still roaming around? How many rogues do we have left? 100,000 rogues were there. 20,000 were caught. There are 80,000 left. Now, what is this 80,000 going to do? They're going to jump into the next bank, right? So this 80,000 who are left here, they jump into the next bank. So they jump into Bank Y. So from these people who jump into Bank Y, now the police comes in, the police catches a 16,000 out of them, right? So now this gang is becoming smaller, right? This rogue gang is becoming smaller. So now only 64,000 of them are left. The remaining 64,000 rogues, what do? They jump into the next bank. So it goes into Bank Z, right? So when they jump into Bank Z, they call the police. Police catches a portion. Police catches the 12,000 of them. So likewise, right? Until this entire 100,000 people are being caught, right? They will be jumping from one bank to another bank, right? Until this number becomes 0, right? They will keep jumping from one bank to another bank. So if I connect this back to my credit creation example, until this initial deposit, right? The number of rogues in my example, until this initial deposit, right, of 100,000, until this becomes zero, credit creation will happen. Until this entire 100,000 gets caught into this. So currently from this 100,000, how many is caught here? 20,000, 16 and 12, 8. How much is it? Can someone give me an answer quick? That's 800, 8, 58, 48, right? So 48,800 of them are caught from the 100,000. So going with that, at the end of the credit creation process, at the end of this rogues jumping from one bank to another bank to another bank, how much do you think is going to come here? Okay, I've given the answer. It's a bit of it, right? That entire 100,000, right? Until that entire 100,000 people are caught, right? Credit creation will happen. So at the end of credit creation, this entire 100,000 are now put to jail. They are inside this. Is that part clear? That the new deposit that comes in, little by little, it gets caught into the central bank. And at the end of credit creation will stop when the entire deposit is put into reserves. Yes? No? Check. Yeah, remember that. So then I will come into a small assumption. I will make not an assumption really. I will make a small, I'll give in a small thing which we will be using later. I will say that the initial deposit is equal to the total reserves in the banking system. Is it correct or wrong? The initial deposit is equal to the total reserves in the banking system at the end of credit creation. Yes, absolutely correct. So that is a small thing that I would want to highlight. We will come into this in detail once we do a bit more questions. So far, Shape, this is the basic story, right? Fine. Yes. No. Tired. I'll give you a break maybe at around 10. Okay, I'll give you maybe 2 minutes to run around. Okay, at around 10. Yeah. Stay up. I'm hoping you all are up and going good. Right. Okay. So this is the total deposit story, right? The total deposits is equal to, how did we get that 500,000 in our previous example? 100,000 came in. Deposit multiplier is 5. So how much is our total deposits? It was a 500,000. That's how you got that thing. So for the people who ask me for the equation, it's over here. Because you all can get a printout, okay, later on, no problem. Okay, so that's fine. Nice. Good to see you all understanding. And let's go into, okay, now the same thing, right? I'm trying to prove another fact here, right? I'm trying to prove another fact. Now, initial deposit is the same, but the SRR has decreased. Earlier SRR was 20%. Now the SRR is at 10%, right? So we're going to look at this now. Okay, shall we do this faster now? Come on, give me examples. Give me answers now. If 100,000 comes in, if SRR is 10%, how much of reserves does the bank keep? Exactly, they keep a 10,000. How much of loans can they keep? Excess reserve, a 90,000. Where does these loans go? They go into bank Y. So bank Y gets the 90,000. How much do they keep as reserves? A 10%, a 9,000, right? So how much is left? Nice to see your answers coming so fast that I can't even read some, right? Okay, 81,000. Okay, 81,000 is left. So where does this 81,000 go? Goes into bank Z. So how much does bank Z keep? 8,100. How much do they give out as loans? Lazy to calculate this. How much do they give out as loans? 72,900. So likewise, guys, this also goes. Now, what I'm trying to do here is, okay, look at this very carefully. Now, credit creation, likewise, it goes, guys. Now, the only thing is SRR has changed. In other words, the amount of rogues the central bank or the police catches has fallen. So now, earlier, if 100,000 came in, the police was able to catch 20% of it. They caught 20,000. But now the police is a little inefficient, right? They like the rogues to move around. They like to increase the money supply, I'll say, right? So they only catch 10% of it. So only 10,000 gets stuck here, right? So the rest 90,000 jumps into another bank. So then again, only 10%. Now, in the previous example, they got 20% of the rogues, right? Okay, don't get confused, right? If all of a sudden in the middle you come and you hear this word rogues, you will wonder, what am I telling? So please stay focused, okay? Stay this thing. I'll make sure that we finish off in 2 hours, right? So pay attention, right? So then, okay, exactly. At the end of the calculation, yes, it is divided amongst several banks, right? So, okay, now what I'm trying to prove here, right? Now, so it comes. Now, can you all tell me at the end of this process, right? How much of deposits is being created? A new deposit of 100,000 came in, right? New loans was a 90,000, reserves was a 10,000. Now, if I ask you to calculate what is this number, what is the total deposits in the banking system, how are you going to calculate? Remember our equation? What was our equation? It's total deposits equals to initial deposit, right? Initial deposit multiplied by what? The deposit multiplied. So in our example case, how much is the deposit multiplied if the SRR is 10%? If SRR is 10%, 1 divided by 0.1 is 10 times. So that means if one deposit comes in, it gets multiplied 10 times. So deposit multiplier is 10, 100,000 came in. How much of deposits is it going to create in the banking system? It's going to create a 1 million worth of deposits. So there is 1 million. Okay. Then if I ask you, what is the new reserves? Earlier the reserves was 100,000. What is the new reserves now when the SRR changed? What is the new reserves going to be? Guys, the new reserves is going to be the same, because at the end of the day, now remember the reserves are the rogues here jumping into the banks. At the end of the credit creation, right? Unless new rogues come or unless rogues leave the country, the amount of all the rogues are going to be caught. So unless new deposits come in or unless one deposit goes out, the reserves are not going to change. That reserves is still going to be equal to 100,000, right? So can you see what I'm trying to prove? Okay, now, okay, how much is loans? A 900,000. So when SRR changed, please listen carefully. Yeah, this is the point that I'm going to put in your head. When SRR changed, what happened to the total deposits when SRR fell? The total deposits in the banking system, it increases, right? It rises. Correct. That's a fact. What happens to the reserves when the SRR changes in the banking system? Reserves in the banking system, that remains the same. That does not change. So that is one point that is very, very important. That is how, right? That is how, right? That is a part where, guys, when we do more questions, I'll show you how to calculate a few things. Okay, don't worry. That is how, right? That is where most of the students get wrong, right? That is where everyone messes up. Everyone thinks SRR changes, banking system reserves is going to change. So SRR changed, so 10% became 20%, or 20 became 10. How can the reserves be the same, right? So do you get that story? Remember that rogue example, right? The reserves are the rogues. No matter what happens to SRR, at the end of the credit creation process, all the 100,000 rogues have jumped in, right? Are caught by the police. So unless new rogues come, or unless a few rogues go out of the country, unless a few rogues go out of the country, this is not going to change. Is that clear? That the reserves is equal to the initial deposit. So just because SRR changes, your total reserves will not change. Okay, good question. How do we get the loans here, guys? Always remember, in a simplified balance sheet, right? I'll show you a simplified balance sheet. The assets is your reserves and loans. Remember, your total deposits in a simplified balance sheet will equal to this plus this. So if this is 100,000, the balance are loan, right? A simplified one. Okay, that's two. Okay, done. 45 minutes gone. What is running in my mind is if I can finish off this in 2 hours. Okay. Now I have given you a few additional concepts here, right? I'll give you a couple of minutes to breathe also, right? So we have 45 minutes done. This is ideally, if it's school, end of one period. Okay, so period is 40 minutes or 45 minutes in school. How long is a period in school? 40, yeah? Okay, some 45, some 40, right? So let's assume a period is 40. So 2 hours means a triple period, right? Some things that we hate, no? A double period is maximum that we would like, no? Same teacher for 3 periods, can't do this, doesn't work. But fortunately or unfortunately, I will be there, right, for 3 periods. Okay, right. Now, we'll get into some questions. We'll get into a few credit creation questions. Now, I taught you all the basic things because you all will not be able to see everyone's message anyway. You all can only text for privacy purposes, guys. We have restricted messages just for the host because sometimes, some people start, texting everyone else. So I can see so many messages coming. I don't think you all will see any of those messages, right? Right. Okay. Now, before we get into a few questions, right, there are few additional things that I would want you all to know, right? So in credit creation questions, a few more things. So I'll just take around 5-10 minutes and explain that because without this, you can't do a question. Okay. First of all, now this is not credit creation. Now, this is additional concepts needed for credit creation. You always study this somewhere in unit number 7, right? So before you come to credit creation, I think your teacher would have taught you at the end of unit number 7. Yes. How did they do it? Who taught you all? Was it taught at the very end of unit number 7 or did they do it in somewhere in the middle? That did they teach you? You can't remember, no? Who even taught us? How did they teach you all? Towards the end, towards the beginning? Okay, anyway, right? But remember, right? In order to come to credit creation, you need to know these things, right? You need to know. Right? Okay. You need to know something called money supply. Now remember, okay? Guys, in money supply, now I'm not going to teach you money supply, guys. Don't mistake me here. My topic is credit creation, right? With the assumption that you know money supply. Do you all remember there is something called definitions for money supply? M1, M2, M2B. Remember those? I'm not going to go in detail, guys. Don't worry. Right? Right? Remember these? M2B, M4, right? You all might remember there is something like this. But in credit creation, usually, right? When they say money supply, which one of these are they talking about? M1, M2, M2B, or M4? In credit creation, when they say money supply, remember, guys, okay, unless they specifically say it's something else, right? Unless they specifically say it's something else, right? It is M1. Okay, got a complaint saying that my connection is lagging. Okay, is it lagging for everyone? Check. Okay. Right. Okay. So then, what is M1, guys? What is M1? What does M1 comprise of? Right? What does M1 comprise of? It's currency held by public and demand deposit. Now, this is something I'm not going to teach you. Okay, yes, this is narrow money supply, right? Remember, go and study your whatever that you all have been studying. And one is currency held by public and demand deposits. Right. Sorted. Then that is the first concept that I would want you all to know. The second concept that I want you all to know, right, is high-powered money, right? What is high-powered money, guys? What is the basic definition of high-powered money? What comes into your mind when someone says high-powered money? Exactly. The actual notes and coins. The actual notes and coins printed by whom? Printed by Gota. No, printed by the central bank. So the actual notes and coins printed by the central bank. So there are usually 4 components in this, right? But usually the 4th component is not talked about much. That is government agencies deposits in the central bank. Even if you have not heard that, leave that, right? Right? Okay, printed by Cabral now. No, he's printing a lot of money also. What is he printing, guys? He's printing high-powered money. Okay? So high-powered money means the actual notes and coins printed by the central bank. So where can these actual notes and coins be? Or what are the components of high-powered money? Because this is again something that we studied before. This is not something that I am teaching in credit creation, but you need this for credit creation sums. Okay, so this is not my topic again. Okay, so what do we have? One is currency held by public. The money that you and me have, right? Maybe in our purse, maybe in our till, maybe that You know, that little money that we hide somewhere in our purse and keep, so that maybe we can use it for an emergency, so that our friends doesn't steal that money, right? We hide it and keep somewhere. All of that is called currency held by public. The physical notes and coins, the currency keeps with them. That is the first component. Guys, remember, you don't take time and savings deposits. Those doesn't come. That's one. The second component is currency held by commercial bank. So actual notes and coins. One part of it is held by the public, is kept with us. Another part of it is kept in commercial banks. Guys, what is the currency that commercial banks keep with them? With them. What do you think? The currency held by commercial banks. Guys, this is usually the excess reserves, guys, right? The excess reserves, right? So if the commercial banks keep some money more than what they require, the excess reserves is what you call currency held by commercial banks. Okay, then there are some money, right, that commercial banks deposit with the central bank. That is also a part of the high-powered money, right? That is also a part of high-powered money. What does the commercial bank deposit with the central bank? What do they deposit? The SRR, right? The required reserve. So these components, right, the required reserves, and if there is any government agencies, now usually this won't come, government agencies deposits with central bank. So if there is something like that, government institutions or something, that is also a part of high-powered money, but in questions, we don't get that. Guys, remember, I'm not teaching high-powered money. If I am teaching you that, I would have taught you all what that is. So remember, guys, these are the components. So there were questions on why doesn't demand deposits come and all of that, right? Simple answer, we're talking about the actual printed notes and coins. So demand deposit is not actual printed notes and coins. Okay, remember that. Okay, right. So this is the, if you add all of these, right? So the red one also, you get high-powered money. Shape. Because time deposits means fixed deposits. Yes or no? Is high-powered money all right? This is a small recap before we get into questions. Done. Then we'll get into the last concept, the money multiplier. Right? The money multiplier. Okay, what is a money multiplier? Money multiplier is, right, how is, remember, deposit multiplier, money multiplier is two different concepts. It is not the same, right? It's totally different concepts. Please don't confuse that. And in a question, when they ask you, right, money multiplier, you use money multiplier. When they say deposit multiplier, you say deposit multiplier. It's not the same. For God's sake, remember that it's not the same. The two concepts are not at all the same. So how do you calculate money multiplier, guys? Money multiplier simply means how many times more is the money supply compared to the actual notes and coins printed, right? How many times more is the actual notes and coins printed? So how do you get, let's say, I'll give you a small example, right? Let's say money supply, we'll do calculations, don't worry, right? Money supply, let's say, is a 10,000 billion, right? But the central bank had only printed 2,000 billion worth of money. And so that may be with the public, that may be with commercial bank, maybe with central bank, that's divided in different places. How much is our money multiplier? What is our money multiplier? In this case, it's a 5 times. Guys, remember, money multiplier, deposit multiplier is not the same. Don't confuse that, because I have seen so many people confusing that. Okay, we'll do question. Done. Check. Then, right, that's a small recap of other things, not credit creation directly, but things that you need to know for credit creation, right? Done. Okay, then this one, credit creation estimation processes. Okay, so usually, yes guys, money supply is M1. Okay, when you get, now we are going into the types of sums that you will get in your exam paper, right? This thing I have taken from the sir that I learned under, right, during A levels. So he told us, oh, I'll tell you all now, right? Again, credit creation, there are two types of sums that you get. Okay, one type of sum you get is a single bank's credit creation sum. People like you, right? Remember when I say people like you, single bank. Okay, Another type of sum that you get is a banking systems credit creation sum. So you get something like that. Yes, if there's a deposit that comes, it will change. I'll come to that. Okay. So either single bank question or a banking system. So when you get a question right in your A-level paper, what is the first thing that you need to do? A credit creation question. Yes, first thing that you know is maybe you start praying and asking God to remind you the answer. But what is the first thing you do when you get a credit creation question? What do you do? The very first thing that you do, you find out, are they talking about a single bank, or a person like you, or are they talking about a bank system, your batch party? What are they talking about? You need to figure that out. Because if you don't figure that out first, you might get your entire calculation wrong. So first step, check whether it's a single bank or check whether it's a banking system, right? Once you have figured that out, then the sum goes. So if you look at a single bank, guys, you can get questions based on this. They can say there is existing excess reserve. They can say there is a change in the SRR. So likewise, they can give you different situations. And then there is something called a two-step process. I will teach you this, right? Don't worry now. Now you all will not understand this. Once I teach this, come back to this and see. It will make sense. Then if you look at a banking system, here they can give questions like this. Maybe initial deposit is changing. Maybe existing reserves are there. Maybe there is a change in SRR. In a banking system question, this deposit multiplier is applicable. And then you have different other approaches also. I will show that to you. I'm not going to explain this here. While doing the questions, I will explain. Okay, so just remember this flow chart, come back to it once you have learned credit creation. After you are done with credit creation, come back to this. It would make 100% sense. But remember, first thing that we do before we do a question is what is we first identify whether it's a single bank or a banking system. That's the first thing. Right. So now we'll get into questions. Okay, do you want a small break? Maybe a 3-minute break to have some water, run around, washroom? No? Yeah, so I'll give you a 3-minute break. I guess I start right on time. Okay, it's 9:57. I'll give you a 3-minute break. Run around, do whatever you all want. Maybe you can text your boyfriend or girlfriend good morning. Right? Come back at 10. We will start with the questions. If you have any friends also, remind them that I'm going to start the questions. Maybe they were not here before. They can come now. Because don't leave the Zoom meeting. If you leave the Zoom meeting, you might not be able to join. It's full with 300. Right? You have to go back to YouTube Live if that is the case. Okay. Because I'll start at 10. So now half of your break is also over. You have 2 minutes, right? I'll come into this, right? So 2 minutes break, you come back at 10 a.m., right? So I'll also have some water and come 10 a.m., okay? Right, okay, let's start. Hope that break flew, no? Are you back? Yes. Just say something on the chat box so that I know that you're back. Yes. Back. No. I know I just gave the break. Because I don't have the time, right? I would have given you all a longer break, but I would have I'm not able to finish it off in this. Okay, there's a request to increase my volume, guys. I don't know how to increase my volume. I'm speaking. Either I need to start shouting. Is the volume all right? You'll hear less. Maybe if the volume is really bad, maybe try leaving this, join the YouTube and see the YouTube live. But right, I think it's fine, right? Can you hear me now? No issue, no, not too loud, not too low also. Right. Because in case I do understand, right? Some phones, sometimes you get a call in the middle, volume goes bad, right? Different things are there. Okay. Guys, small thing. Just before we just yes, volume always may right. Before I really get into this, small thing, guys. A small reminder for there were a lot of people who purchased this target model paper book, right? I think I would have told you all about that. The book, guys. A few clarifications to let you all know. Yeah, maybe your friends also, guys. It is one book. There is no three books. In one book, all the papers are there, right? Either it will be a book or it will be a like a paper set. It's one. There is no three. And that 600 that you will pay is for that one book. Everything is 600. There is no 600 for econ, 600 BS, nothing like that. It's 600 for all the 7 papers together. So 7 question papers and 7 answers. So 2 BS, 2 econ, 2 accounts, 1 general English. The next question that I will answer is when are we going to deliver it, right? So we have got it printed probably in a week, as there is a small delay that happened with our printing aspect of it, right? I totally apologize for that, right? I've got so many messages from different students. Just let you all know, your friend as well, if he has purchased it. We have a limited quantity. So I think English medium books, there must be another 100 odd left, right? That is the maximum that's left. So if any of you all are interested, you all can make that payment. The link was sent on the group. I'll maybe send it again also if you all want. It's a 600. We'll not be printing again and again. Once it's done, right? So, and also, I'm hoping you all remember, all that money goes for a good cause, guys. It's not for me or it's not for the members of my club, right? So that is the small thing that I would want to let you all know, right? Guys, you all will get it within a week, right? I'm repeating, right? Probably somewhere within a week, maybe a week or 1.5 weeks. Just give us some time, guys, because the lockdown was taken over. Now we can deliver, right? Guys, you all have to pay it into a bank, right? You have to pay it in the bank, or there is a online payment thing which you can pay using a debit or credit card. So you enter your debit card number and you can pay that. So there are 2 payment options that can be there. We'll see. Maybe if books are left, maybe we can see if we can find maybe cash on delivery. I can't guarantee that, but I'll let you all know if there is any update on that. Okay, right. So nice to see most of you are still here in class, right? I'm guessing most of you are learning, right? The crowd is not fallen. Sometimes, halfway. Sometimes I give a break. Half of them are missing. Problems. Right? Good to see you all here now. Right. So now we'll get into questions. Right, guys. Questions again. You all can't be sitting and looking at the screen. You have to be doing the question with me. There is no looking at the screen and learning questions. There's no looking at the screen and learning credit creation. Doesn't work this way. You write. Don't write the question. Get a printout of it later, guys. It's just 12 pages. You don't have to print the cover page and the last page. So around 10 pages. 5 rupees double side. 25 rupees is that's what's going to cost you. Right. So get a printout later. Practice the questions again. Then, right. That is what you can do. For now, write the answers and keep this thing. Do it with me. Later, get a printout of these 10 pages. Do it. Right. So courier charge, yes, guys, I think there'll be a small charge of around 150, right? That again, that is also for that thing, guys, because it's island wide, it will be entirely 150, a small charge there, right? Okay, fine. So we'll start with question number 1. Question number 1, I have directly told you that this is a single bank credit creation question. In a single bank, I'm going to teach you something called a 2-step process. I'm going to teach this to you with a question itself. Now, remember in the previous thing, I told you, a single bank here, I told you, there is a 2-step process. Now, this is the part that I'm going to teach you, right? I'm directly putting you into a question and teaching you because we don't have time. But don't worry, you will totally understand that. I'll explain it with a story itself. Start. Guys, please make sure I'm repeating. I'm hoping you're not in bed. You're not just idling around and, my voice playing in the background. This is your last chance. Okay. Guys, how do you identify whether it's a single bank or whether it's a banking system? Guys, that will be given in a question. You need to read the question very careful, right? Okay, forget that. Guys, these are also past paper questions. These are not questions that I made. I would have changed the values, but these are past paper questions. So this is what the question would have come, right? So here can you see? Read the question now. Now in my case, I already told you this is a single bank, but read it and see. Can you figure it out? Suppose one of the commercial banks in a banking system, one of the commercial banks in a banking system, single bank, right? They're talking about one bank, not the bank. Yes, the banking system word can be there, right? I'm not saying they will not say banking system. But when you read the question with practice, you can figure that out. So they say one of the commercial banks in the banking system has a simplified balance sheet. Guys, remember there is a bank's balance sheet, right? If you all, I don't know, you all do accounts or not, bank also has a balance sheet like this, right? So they have a balance sheet. Okay. In the bank's balance sheet, guys, remember the assets are on the right side. Guys, remember, don't confuse with your debit and credit. Sir, why is not assets in the left side, sir? Debit, no, don't go there, right? This is a bank. Yeah, that is not our thing. That is not, we are not looking into account, right? Assets are on the right side, liabilities are on the left side. So what are the assets the bank will have? One is the reserves. Because when I say reserves, always remember that's the money that they have with them, right? So some part they have with them, some part they have deposited with the central bank, the money that they have, that's reserves. Then securities. Securities like, let's say, for example, treasury bills, treasury bonds, right? Things like that is also there. Don't get scared, okay? Just because they give you securities, don't get scared because there is nothing much to do there. And also, there is loans. So all of these are assets for a business. A common question that I get always, so why is loans an asset? Guys, these are loans the bank has given, not loans the bank has taken. These are loans the bank has given someone else. So they have to pay you, right? If you are the bank, people have to pay you. So it's an asset for the bank. Don't go and say, so loans is non-current liability. What nonsense are you saying? Remember, when we say loans here, it's loans the bank has given. So it's a business, right? And then you have demand deposits, which is a liability. So if people put money, bank has to pay them back. So it's a liability. That's how a simplified balance sheet looks like. I'm hoping you all are okay. I told this for people who don't know, right? Okay. Let's start with the question. They say there is a balance sheet like this. It's a single bank. We identified that first. And now they're saying if the reserve ratio is 20%, what will be the amount of new loans this bank would make? Please remember the amount of new loans the bank would make is equal to the excess reserve. So any excess reserves the bank has, they can give it out as loans. So we do the calculation. Shall we do it together with me? Tell me. New loans the bank would make. So excess reserves is what you can give out as new loans. So how do you find excess reserves? Is equal to actual reserves minus required reserves, right? Actual reserves minus required reserves. That's how you find. Now, can you tell me, according to this question, how much is our actual reserves? How much is actual? Nice. His actual reserves can be found in the bank's balance sheet, right? Always in the bank's balance sheet, actual reserves are there. So when they say reserves here, right, it's a combination of required and excess. So actual reserves, always you take it from this, right? You take it from this. So 50,000 is actual reserves. Okay, how much is required reserves? How are you going to calculate this number? It's 20% SRR. 20% of what? 20% of our deposits, right? So it's 200,000 our deposits. 20% of it is how much? 40,000. So 50,000 minus 40,000. How much of excess reserves do we have? We have excess reserves of 10,000. Guys, don't finish your answer there, right? Now, because I'm teaching you answer writing also. So you say the amount of new loans, right? Amount of new loans this bank could make is rupees 10,000 million. Yeah, maximum amount of new loans the bank could make is this. So giving a small statement like that, question done. Shape. All right. Issues, problems. Fine. Okay, so there are some people who drop out of Zoom, then some people who fill that spot. I'm hoping your connection doesn't go bad and you drop out. Right. So we'll get into this. Question part 2 of this. Right. Okay. Now I'll take this a little up. Right. Guys, watch carefully. Yeah. It's yes, guys. It's not a must to write the statement, but it is nice to write that statement because they're asking you this. They're asking what is the maximum new loans bank can make. So treat it as a statement, guys. It creates a good impression for the examiner. Exam thinks, okay, wow, this guy knows his stuff. He's not just by-hearting things and doing a calculation. Let's just put those guys, small things. That goes a long way. Right. Part B. Show how the balance sheet of the bank will appear after the bank has lent this additional amount. I'm going to teach you the 2-step process now. In that, I'm going to teach you step number 1. What is step number 1? Watch very carefully. Right? Guys, balance sheet, single bank. Single bank. Now, usually, okay, guys, have you all taken a loan or have your parents taken a loan? Anyone has an experience with something of a loan? Know how the actual loan works? No? Right. I'll tell you this, right? That's thing, right? Now you go into the bank. Okay, which question is credit creation, guys? You get in question number 6, right? In the money and banking question, right? So when you go and, okay, now think, okay, friends loan, okay, difference to it. Friends loan is not repaid, no, usually. Okay, let's think of a bank loan now. You have to repay also, okay? You go into the bank. You say, bank, listen, right? I need 100,000 loan. Okay, we'll think of 10,000 loan, right? So bank has excess reserves of 10,000, right? Demand deposit. This is a single bank. Okay? So single bank there is no initial deposit, total reserve. Okay? Don't worry about that. Just remember that there is a deposit. Okay. So now this bank has a 10,000 deposit, 10,000 excess reserve, which they can give out as loans. So now we are going to study when they give it out as loans, how is the balance sheet going to look like, right? So let's say you were the one who went and got this loan. Let's say your loan got approved. Will the bank give you cash then and there? Or will they ask you to do something else? What do they do, guys? When you get a loan, right? Remember this is how the banking process works. When they give you a loan, they first ask you, right? When you're filling this loan form, they ask you, do you have an account with us? Right? Do you have an account with us? You will say, no, I don't have an account. Then they will say, okay, make an account. If you say yes, then fine. If you say no, then say, okay, they'll say make an account. Otherwise, I'm not going to give you a loan. So what do they do, guys? They ask you to make an account, or they make an account for you. And this loan money, they put it into your account. They don't give you the cash, right? Later, you can go out of the bank, put your ATM card, and you can take the money. Different story. Remember? Or you can write a check and go to the counter and take it, right? Think that you are not in the money counter, right? You're not in the money counter. You're near the loan officer with the loan manager. Okay. So loan manager approves your loan. He transfers the money into your bank account. So maybe you can withdraw from the ATM, or maybe you can go downstairs. Let's say it's a 2-story bank. You can go downstairs, stand in the queue, write a check and take that money. So that is how it works. So the very first thing, once your loan is approved, or once the bank lends this additional amount, right? That is how it will work. So in that case, right? Can we work this? Can we look at how much of things will happen? Now, what did I tell you the first thing, right? So this bank has a 10,000 of excess reserve, which they can give out as loan. I'm teaching you the first step. What is the first thing I told you the bank does? They put it into your account, right? They deposit the money into your account. Later only you go and write a check and you take the money. What do you think happens to deposits initially? At the very first moment, the bank gives you the loan. Will deposits stay 200? Guys, compare with the balance sheet on top, or will it increase to something else? What will be the new amount? What do you all think? It will be a 210,000. That 10,000 loan they have put to your bank. So you have now, the bank has 210,000 worth of deposits. What do you think happens to reserves? Does it fall now? Does it fall to 40,000? It doesn't fall. Okay, a simple way to remember what reserves is. Reserves is the money that is there in the bank. In the bank's, let's say, safe. Now, when the bank deposited, transferred 10,000 into your, right? Guys, I'll explain again over, right? Okay. So, guys, you need to stay focused on my example, right? My example, right? You go and take that loan, bank approves the 10,000. So, what is the first thing that they do? They tell you, fine, loan granted, they put it into your account. So, maybe a current account, maybe a savings account, they put it into your account. So, what account? A deposit account. So, that is why deposits go up by 10,000. They had 200,000 deposits. Now, that loan also goes into that account, right? The 10,000 loan also goes into the account. So, now deposits become 210. Now, my next question is, right, when they have done that, when they have transferred it to your account, is that 10,000 still with the bank or has it left the bank? They have only transferred it to your account. Is it in the bank or has it left the bank? It's in your account. It's with the bank, right? It's still with the bank. You have not taken the money and gone home. It's still inside the bank. So can the reserves change then? Reserves means the money that is there inside the bank. Can the reserves change? It can't, because the money is still in. You have not gone to the counter. You have not taken the check. You have not taken the money home. So you don't change reserves in the first step. Reserves are still 50,000. Remember, guys, reserves means the cash the bank has with them in their safe. Doesn't change. First step, huh? Doesn't change. Because you have not taken the money. If you have not taken the money, how can the reserves change? It's still only gone to your account. Then fill the rest. Securities, guys. Securities. How much? How much is securities? How much is this? It's a 48,000. Remember, don't touch that, guys. That is given to confuse you. That is given to see if you're stupid enough to make a change there. So don't go touch that. Don't go do anything stupid. That's a 48,000. Leave that there. What happens to loans now? The bank has given the loan, right? Bank has approved the loan. They put it into your account. What happens to loans? Because loans will increase by 10,000. So loans go up by 10,000. Loans become 112,000. So guys, after you all can balance the balance sheet, I'm not going to balance the balance sheet for you all, right? Is that first step clear? I'm repeating. First step is where the bank puts the money into your account. So when the bank puts the money into your account, in step number 1, deposits change, loans change, reserves remain constant. Yes. Because these are past paper questions, are not questions. Okay, so now see this here. Step number 1, deposits change. Okay, the triangle is delta change, loans change, reserves constant. Now I'm going to teach you step number 2. Right? I'm going to teach you step number 2. Okay? Right. Right. Okay, so now the bank has given you the loan, right? The bank has given the loan, right? Now you go and ask for a loan, bank approves the 10,000 loan. So that 10,000 comes into your account, and in the other side, bank records it as a loan. So their loans also increase, loans given increase to 10,000. Whether you have taken the money or not, that they don't care. They have given you the loan, it's in your account. No? That is why loans also increase. Okay? When you learn the next step, you will understand it more, right? Yeah, maybe a contrary, not really though. Okay, right. We'll go in the next step now. Okay. Now here, okay, I will erase a few things, right? I will take this to the top, right? So now we are looking at part C. Yes, deposits will always increase in step number 1. Okay, few things. Give me a second. I don't want to erase this. I want to keep this so that you all can see the change, right? Okay. Step number 2. Now look at the question, right? At school is a different way. Guys, trust me, this is the correct way. Right? I don't know what your school teacher is. Your school teacher would have taught you properly, but you would have not learned it properly. Right? Okay, part C. The second step. How will the bank's balance sheet appear after checks are drawn for the entire amount? Now, the money has been put into your account. Now, you're going to the counter, you're writing a check, and you're taking the money out. Now you're taking the money and going back to your house, right? So now, how will the balance sheet look? Let's go with the story, guys. How will the balance sheet look like? Now, what happens to deposits? You're taking the money from the bank account now. What do you think happens to deposits? You're taking that 10,000. What happens? That will fall, no? It will fall by that 10,000. You're taking the money and going out now. You're going home, right? To party now. Huh? So this will become a 200,000. Can you see? The money is being taken out. So this goes to a 200, right? Then now what happens to reserves? Now, when you take the money and go, what happens to the money that is there in the bank? What happens to the reserves in the bank? Now, this is where the bank's money is actually going out, right? Because early it was still in the bank. Now it's falling. Exactly. Reserves fall for how much now? What is the number? What's the number do I put over there? Exactly, a 40,000. What do I do to securities? Don't touch. Okay, I don't touch that. 48,000. What happens to loans now? He has taken the money and gone home. What happens to loans? Loans don't change, no? Has he taken a new loan? Has he repaid the loan? No. He has only taken the loan and gone home. So loans don't change. So don't change loans in the second step. So 112. Now, so in the second step, now this is the process, right, of giving a loan. So deposits change in the second step. Deposits come down, reserves come down, others remain the same. So that is the two-step process of giving a loan in a single bank. Check, no check. Right. So now the type of questions you all will get. Okay, right. Okay, so this reserve part. Yes, this 50,000 goes to 40,000. Let's always remember, reserves is the actual money that is there in the bank. So when the customer withdraws, he draws a check and takes the money home. The amount of money that is there in the bank safe is going to fall, right? The amount of money in the bank safe is going to fall. That is why reserves are falling now. He's taking money from the account, he's taking the money going home. So deposits fall, the reserves also fall. Remember, reserves means the money in the bank safe. So when a customer withdraws, the money in the bank safe is going to fall. Clear, right? Okay, now in the question, right, in your A-level paper, they might ask you the two steps. Sometimes they might ask you the two steps like this. But if not, they will sometimes ask you directly the second one, right? So they can either ask you the two step, or they can, if they simply ask you, show how what the bank's balance sheet would look like after this bank has given it out as loans and the customer has withdrawn, then you only draw the second. That is, guys, we don't have time to practice too much of things, right? So I'm not going to go there, but remember, in a question, if they say that, you sometimes draw only the second, right? Either you do step 1 and 2 both, or only 2, right? There's no benefit, guys, the bank could get. This is how the balance sheet looks like. Okay. Right. Okay. So going into question number 2. Okay. Guys, can you all read this question? Guys, okay. So in step number 2, guys, you repeat once again in simple terms, guys. Remember, the customer is withdrawing the cash and taking it home. That's all, right? He's withdrawing the cash. He's taking it home. So deposits are falling. He's taking from the account. Reserves are falling. Bank in the money is going down. That's all. Step number 2. Okay. Right. Then we'll get into this, guys. Question 2. Okay. For those on YouTube, guys, there are 8 more slots here on Zoom. If you all want, you all can join. There's only 292. Right. Question 2. Okay. Read this question and tell me, okay, is this a single bank's question or a banking systems question? Okay, we'll read. Suppose the reserve ratio is 15%. The bank has reserves of 30 million. Loans and investment 170 million. Demand deposits 200. So far, you can't really say. But from this line, you can say, assume that this bank operates within a banking system. Can this bank expand its loans? Give reasons. Are they talking about one bank, or are they talking about a banking system? Single bank, right? This bank, one bank. They might say banking system, but just because you see the word banking system, don't get carried away, guys. Read. This comes with your English, right? Read the question. Should be able to figure it out. Okay, right. Let's look at this. The question is saying, can this bank expand loans? The bank can expand loans if it has excess reserves. Can we calculate that? Can you see? SRR is 15%. Because now I want answers fast. Okay. Reserve they have is 30. Actually, okay. Now the same thing without giving a balance sheet, they have given in a paragraph. Okay. Defines total of step 1 and step 2. No, guys, there is no total of step 1 and step 2. Step 2 is the end thing, right? After there is no step. You don't get a total of anything. Okay. Right. So how much is required reserves? Can you all tell me this? How much of required reserves should the bank keep? SRR is 15%, right? Of how much? Deposits of 200. So how much is 15% of 200? It's a 30 million. That is required. So bank has said, central bank has said, keep 30 million with me. How much is their actual reserves? How much have they actually kept with them? Will be given in the question. That's also 30 million. They have actually kept also 30 million. Do they have anything excess? Excess reserves? No excess reserves. Excess reserves are 0. So can the bank, now my question, can this bank expand its loans? Yes or no? No. This bank cannot expand its loans. Cannot expand its loans. Why? Because it does not have any excess reserves. Is that part clear? If you have excess reserve only, you give out as well. If not, you can't do anything. Check. Done. Now we'll get in the next one. The next question. Okay. What will be the increase or decrease in the quantum? Guys, quantum is quantity, okay? Of bank lending if the reserve ratio is reduced to 10%. Tell me this. If the SRR, now SRR currently is 15%, deposits 200,000. If the SRR falls to 10%, what happens? Again, think required reserves not going to change. Required reserves is, guys, quantum is quantity, yeah? 200 million into 15% is 30 million. That's a required reserve. What is excess? How much? Okay, how much is the actual? Sorry, not 10, 15%. Sorry. This is 10%, guys. SRR change 10%. So required reserves is only a 20 million. Again, I'll repeat that again if I confuse you. In my part B here, what happens, guys? The SRR changes. It's not 15% anymore. It's now 10%. So when SRR changes to 10%, how much is required to be kept? Only 200 into a 10%. That's a 20 million. How much of actual do we have? Actual reserves? We have 30 million. How much of excess do we have then? Excess is a 10 million. So that is your answer, guys. So excess reserves is a 10 million. So don't just stop there, right? So you can say, they're asking, what will be the increase or decrease in the bank lending, right? So you say, since SRR decreases, right, the bank lending will increase by rupees 10 million. So you give a full answer like that. That's all. Shape can do. So far, so good. Yeah. So as homework, right now, this A-level question, that is all. Okay, these are A-level pass paper questions, because if you can do this means you can do your paper question also, right? So if you want, so you can draw I have left this space over here. You can draw the balance sheet. You can do the two-step process. That is up to you, right? So bank has 10 million excess now. When they give out as loans, how is step 1? How is step 2? So you all practice that at home. I'm not going to repeat the same thing as we don't have time. I was not planning to do that also. I left that space. That is for you. You can do step 1 and step 2. See how the balance sheet is going to change. Okay, done. Credit creation means the total deposits being created. Correct. And now we'll get into, right, half an hour more. I have 2 more questions to work on. We'll now get into, okay, a banking systems credit creation question. Okay, so far what did we do? Guys, I'm repeating once again, right? It's a very hard thing to complete this in 2 hours, right? Credit creation, I usually do like 10-15 questions, practice and do all of that in class, right? But I don't have that much of time to work on it, right? So I'm trying to finish it off in 2 hours. So I'm expecting you to have some knowledge. I think so far you all are all right, right? Not lots, no, not too fast. Can manage the shape again. I know I've not gone into very depth. You're all right, no? I can drag this session for 4 hours and teach you the entire thing, but that is not going to work again, right? So we'll keep it for 2 hours. I'll try to finish it off in 2 hours, right? Yeah. I have no problem in that, right? So we'll start off with banking systems credit creation. Now, so far, right? Look at this small diagram, this small thing here. So far, we looked at a single bank's credit creation. We looked at a single bank's balance sheet, right? Now, so far, this thing that we got, this deposits is this. The new loans were here. The reserves were here, right? That is what we did. So far, that is what we did single bank. Now, what we are going to do is now we are going to do a banking systems balance sheet. Guys, the balance sheet will look like just the same, right? The balance sheet will look the exact same, right? No difference. A banking system balance sheet also look is the same. That will also have deposits, reserves, loans. No change. But that is where people get confused. That is where people get, lost, why, what is this, what is that? Okay, small explanation of credit creation. Guys, I think I covered that on the beginning, right? At the very beginning, what credit creation is when I explain this entire diagram. If you missed it, guys, maybe sometimes the video might be there. You can go and watch later onwards. Okay, right. So now we can look at this, right? Now the focus is on this. So far, what we did, single bank, right? Banks like yours. Remember, banks like yours. Now what we're going to do, bank like the Dutch part. So we'll look into these questions now. Now here, the very important thing that I would want to tell you is this, right? Remember, I proved this to you before. I'm not going to show it again. This initial deposit is equal to the total reserves in the bank. That's a very important thing that you all need to remember, right? I would have put that in a note also down, right? That's very, very important. Don't ask me how now, guys. 1 hour before I explain that story, that this is a equal. Okay, right. Then, okay, key points to keep in mind in a banking system. First thing, initial deposit is equal to total reserves in the banking system. So in this table, according to this table, this value and this value is the same. That is the first point that I'm saying. Guys, remember these key points. Don't buy hard the key points, right? These key points they're not going to ask you in the exam, but you need for the calculation. Second one, the total reserves in the banking system will only, guys, only is highlighted, put in bold, in capital, because it's only. There are no other exceptions. Will only change if a new deposit or withdrawal from a customer. If there is a new deposit or a withdrawal. So unless this number changes, if there is a new deposit that comes, then the total reserves will change. If there is a withdrawal, people take money out, then the total deposit will change. Only if that happens, the total reserves in the banking system change. For any other reason, total reserves will not change. Guys, get that into your head. I'm telling this 100 times, right? Total reserves in the banking system will only change if a new deposit comes or a customer withdraws. In other words, if there is a change in the currency held by public, right? So if the currency held by public decreases, means the person is depositing money. If he withdraws money, currency held by public will increase. So only if that changes, there will be this. Okay, remember that first. Then we'll go into question. Start. Okay, look at this question. Question 3, we have 2 questions and then we're done. Okay, assume a competitive banking system in which commercial banks make full loans to the full amount of excess reserves they acquire. And commercial banks operate at a statutory reserve ratio of 25%. They hold deposits from the public of 2,000. The total money supply is 2,500. Okay, first thing, Read the question, see if you can figure out banking system or a single bank. What is it? A banking system or a single bank? Because it has to, that comes with practice. Okay, they will not directly say in the topic banking system. Okay, this is a banking system. Yes, exactly. The batch party, right? So here they say, a competitive banking system in which commercial banks are operating. So we're talking about the entire thing, right? Talking about your entire batch, not just you, right? Banking system. So now, according to this question, they are okay. Can you all tell me? Can we do a small calculation before we get into this question? Remember money supply M1. What were the components of M1? I told you need some additional concept to do these calculations. What is M1? It's currency held by public plus demand deposits of the public with commercial. So based on this, can you all tell me what are the numbers that they have given? They have given you two numbers out of this. What are the numbers they have given you? Which numbers? They have given us M1, right? M1 is given in this. It's 2,500. Okay, M1 is given. So you put M1 as 2,500. Done. What else have they given us? They've given us something else. They have said there is total deposits of the public of a 2,000 million, right? They've given us this. They've given deposits 2,000. So guys, indirectly, what are they talking about? Indirectly, what are they saying? You should be able to figure the other one out. Can you figure the missing one out here? Yeah, it's a currency held by public. Is a fire. So those kind of small hints you need to take from the question, because going forward, those information is not given for the fun of it, right? That is given for a reason. We will look into that. Okay. So remember small things like that. Now, okay, they're asking you what is the amount of loans the banks have made. We look at this question. Now we have a consolidated balance sheet. That means a banking system. Consolidated means total. Consolidated balance sheet. Just pay very close attention. Half an hour, no, other 20 minutes, we are done. Is your one last chance. Right. Tell me, give me numbers, deposits. How much does this banking system have as deposits given in our question? The banking system has a 2,000 million of deposits. Right. 2,000 million. How much is their reserves? They have not given us reserves, but they have told us SRR is 25 and they don't keep any excess also. So how much of reserves will they have? 2,000 deposits, SRR is 25% means 25% of 2,000 is how much, guys? It's 500, right? So that is that. Now fill in the blanks. Our question is not that. Our question is how much of loans have the banks made? Can you all work this across and tell me how much of loans the bank has made? This is normal balance. You balance a normal T account, right? So you balance this, you get they made loans of how much? 1,005. So that is your answer for the first one. Can we work that out? So you can say, now guys, don't end with the balance sheet. It's not nice. Your answer is not complete. So you say the amount of loans, right? The amount of loans the banks have made is rupees 1,500 million. Guys, we can't take 2,500 as demand deposit, guys. 2,500 is money supply. Read the question, guys. 25 is the money supply. They are saying they hold deposits of 2,000. So how can you take this as deposit? This is the deposit. So don't play around with other things, guys. Okay? Yes, I'll come to these questions, right? Is that part okay? Is the loans part fine? That they have 1,500 loans given? Done. Okay. Going on to part B. Part B, they are saying, assume. Okay? Assume. The public deposits 100 million. So now there is a initial deposit that is coming. What will happen to the total deposits as the bank adjusts their final listing? Yes, guys, that 2,000 is banking system. That is a banking system question. Yeah, that's a banking system's total deposits. Okay, so 100 is coming in. Because they're asking you what is going to happen to total deposits. I'll show this to you. We'll fill in the blanks here. According to the question, how much of total deposits are there in the banking system? There is 2,000. Okay. How much of loans did we get? 1,005. How much of reserves? 5. Now, what? Now that means total there were deposits of 500. That is how that 500 came, right? Because these are equal. Now they are saying in the question they are saying a additional 100 is coming, right? A additional 100 is coming. You'll understand the question first, right? So one customer is coming in and putting in additional 100, right? Okay, I know you all don't have a printout. I'll show you back, right? We'll go down and see. So they are saying, assume that the public deposits 100 million worth of notes and coins. Explain what will happen to total deposits as the banks adjust their filing. So they are asking you, because of this 100 that comes in, right? What will happen to this? That is what they're asking. What do you think happens to this? Does this simply become 2,100? Is it correct there? No. Because this 100 that comes in goes to the credit creation, right? Remember, this 500, we didn't write 500. No. This 500 we multiplied and wrote 2,000 because it went into credit creation, the process. So this 100, you can't just say 2,100. It's wrong. In a banking system one, you have to use a deposit multiplier. So this 100 will go from one bank to another bank to another bank to another bank, will go like that. And then it will end up here, right? Remember that whole process. So how much more times will this change by? Guys, can you tell me our SRR in our question is 25%. How much is our deposit multiplier there? If SRR is 25%, 1 divided by 0.25 is 4 times. So if a deposit of 100 comes, then by how much will your total deposits change by? Total deposits change by 400. So 100 into 4. So it increases by, guys, always remember, now see, this is not how you do it when it's a single bank. That is why it's very important to find whether it's a single bank or a banking system. Please, I would give you, when you're practicing questions, draw this table. See what information they have given you. So in our question, they have given us this information, right? And they're telling us 100 is coming in here. And then they're asking you this. What is the new value? That's what they're asking. So what do you think the new value here is? Already there was 2,000. Now, because that 100 came, it increased by 400. What is the new value of total deposits in the banking system? It's a 2,400. That's how we get that. Is that okay? Shape or no? Fine, yeah. Yes, I know it's a little hard right now. The more and more it goes, it's hard to focus, right? But pay attention, guys. 10 more minutes, we're done, okay? Right. Not 10 more minutes, 15 more minutes. Right. Coming to the question. Right. So when 100 million comes in, guys, give me numbers now. This is the consolidated balance. Yes, this balance sheet we are drawing for workings. Huh? How much is deposits now? Earlier it was 2,000. Now how much is it? Now it's 2,400. How much is reserves now? There were reserves of 500 earlier. How much is reserves now? Remember when that initial deposit came? Remember I told you total reserves will change if initial deposits change, right? Maybe a new money coming in, money going out. 100 came in. So reserves was 500. When 100 came in, how much is reserves now? It's a 600. How much is our loans? 1,000. Guys, remember this is the banking system. Guys, how did this 2,400 come only, which I just showed you guys before? This is this part. Remember this? I made this 2,400 and showed you. Yeah, that's how the 2,400. Okay, right. Are we fine? Now this is this thing. Now that they don't give you answer like this. They're asking you explain what will happen to total deposits as the banks adjust their final lending, right? Okay, you want to see the previous one? Yes, you can. Okay, guys, how 600? Okay. Okay, remember this process. Now, when this 100 came in, right, it multiplies by 4, it creates 2004. Guys, this is a mess, right? Don't you see? It became 2004. That we agree. So, how much is our reserves? The new reserves. When initial deposit was 500, reserves was 500. Now 100 came in. How much is our new reserves? 600. Guys, deposits minus the reserves is your loans. The remaining is your loans. So don't ask me how is 1,800 loans, guys. Simple. Minus this from this, you get 1,800 loans, right? Yes, customer withdraws, it happens the opposite way. Okay, so customer deposits, this is how it comes. Okay, right. Then I'll clear this. I'll go back. Okay, I have this. Okay, I'm hoping you all would have written this down, guys. So can you tell me what you'll write here? So you say, explain what will happen to deposit. You say deposits, right? Deposits will increase by how much? Will increase by rupees 400 million. And the total deposits will equal to rupees 2,400. That's how you give your final answer. Your final answer is saying this to explain what will happen to deposit. So your working is what you do there. And then you give this. Done and dust. Now you found the new value of deposits. It's a 2,400. They're asking you what will happen to money supply after the adjustments. Now this is where that money supply part comes in. Guys, can you tell me money supply before? How much was it before? Yes, loan is equal to 1,008. M1 equals currency held by public plus demand. So before money supply was 2,500, we got currency held by public 500. This was 2,000. This is how it looked before. Now, after this thing has happened, a customer comes and deposits 100 million. What do you think happens to the currency held by public? Does it increase, decrease, remain the same? From the 500 I had, I am depositing 100 in the bank. How much is the money I have now? I had a 500. I deposited 100 in the bank. I only have a 400. It will not increase. It will decrease. I had 500 with me. Currency held by public. Let's say I'm the only person in the country. I had 500 with me. I deposited 100 in the bank. I put 100 in the bank. So how can my money increase in my hand? In my hand, the money will fall. So currency held by public, the new value is going to be 400. What is the new value of demand deposit? That is what we calculated in the previous question. What is the new value? We got a 2,400. So if that is the case, how much is our new money supply? It's a 2,800. Yes, that is how that number comes. Simple calculation, right? Can do, can't do. Yeah. Okay. So for homework, what I want you to do is do the opposite of this, right? I would have left a few space in this same question, right? Now, customer withdrawing 100, right? On your end for homework, sorry, depositing 100 for homework, change the B part, right? Customer withdraws 100. Do the opposite and see what happens. He withdraws 100. Then see what happens, guys. Okay? That is what you want to. That is what you need to look at. Okay? Homework, change this, not deposits 100, he withdraws 100. That's up to you all to do it. Okay? Right. We have 10 more minutes. We have one last question to work on. Okay? Yes, guys, I would have explained this in the past paper class also. Right. So far, shape. Okay, so people on YouTube, there is 25 more slots, so I can join if you all want on Zoom. Right. Tarik, no? One last, and we're done. Okay? Yes, total deposit is reduced. Yes. Withdrawing also multiply works. Same thing opposite. Huh? The withdrawal you do and see. Okay, question number 4. Suppose that The money supply in a hypothetical economy, guys, again, they're giving money supply. Okay, first of all, okay, last question, guys. Giving as much as answers as possible for small questions. When they say money supply, what type of money supply? M1, M2, M3? No, not M3, M2, B, M4. Which one? M1. What is M1? Currency held by public and demand deposits. They're saying of this, 10 billion is currency held by public and 100 billion is bank deposit. That's fine. So they have given nothing to find, right? They have said M1 equals, we know CC plus DD. They're saying M1 is 110, currency held by public is 10, demand deposit 100. So they itself have given all the information, nothing to find. Done. So then they're saying the central bank has decreed. Decreed means they have told that the commercial banks must keep 10% of their deposit liabilities in the form of currency. What is this? They have to keep 10% of their deposit liability in the form of currency. Yes, that is our SRR. Without directly saying SRR, they can say it that way also. So in our question, how much is our SRR? It's a 10%. And then they say, so the banking system has 10 billion worth of currency in the bank vaults and 90 billion on its books. So that is that. We'll leave it there. They're asking you, what is the value of deposit multiplier? First question, past paper. Deposit multiplier. SRR is 10 times. How do you calculate deposit multiplier? 1 divided by SRR. So 1 divided by 0.1, how much do we get? We get 10 times. Done. That's all. Don't do anything else. Okay, right. Now, the central bank increases the reserve ratio. Okay, how? Okay, shall we draw the consolidated balance sheet before all of this happens based on the information? Balance sheet. Now, this is before we go to part B. Yeah, right. Can you give me numbers for this? How much of deposits did the bank have? Read the question. Tell me. 100, right? Given in this thing. 100. Given in the question. How much of reserves did the bank have? Banking system, 10. So how much of loans do they have then? 90. Right? They have given you that. Now they are saying, okay, SRR was 10%. Now the central bank increases the reserve ratio, the SRR, to 25%. Assuming there is no change in the amount of currency held by public. So no one is depositing, no one is withdrawing. So there is no change in the currency held by public. What will be the new level of bank assets and liabilities? Guys, now let's put into my table and see how does it look like, right? Where does this information fit and what are they telling us to do, right? Let's put this into my table, right? In my table, okay? What is the information they have given us? Total deposits, guys, banking system, the 100 is here. Okay, they've given us this. I'll increase the font size. They've given us this. Then they have said reserves is 10. Loans in the banking system is 90. What is the question saying? Now, SRR was 10%. In the question they are saying the SRR is changing. 10% is becoming 25%. My question to you now, they're asking you, what will happen to the thing here if SRR becomes 25%? Okay, so initial deposit, there was a 10, right? It is equal to only 10. They are saying there is no new money that comes in, there is no money that is going out. If the we did this before also. If the SRR changes, will the reserves in the banking system change? Yes or no? Will the reserves change in the banking system if SRR changes? Remember, reserves is the number of rogues they catch and put. Just because they are catching less rogues at the this is the total number of rogues. It won't change, guys. I told you 100 times, right? If a new deposit is not coming, if there is no withdrawal, reserves will not change, guys. It is highlighted saying key points. Remember that for a fact. This is not going to change. No money coming in, no money going out. Banking system. Then what is the new value of deposits? What is the new value of reserves? Let's find out. Okay. Now, going back to our question 4. Right. So they have given us Okay, hold on. Okay, the consolidated balance sheet. Guys, reserves. How much is reserves? Can you tell me? Earlier there was 40. How much is reserves? Sorry, earlier there was 10. How much there is reserves now? If SRR increases 25, still 10. Remember, reserves will not change unless the customer takes or puts money. Banking system question. Still 10. Right? Now we'll do a small working, guys, to find the total deposits. Total deposits, right, is equal to, remember this, initial deposit, which is also equal to the total reserves, right, multiplied by the deposit multiplier. Tell me numbers here. How much is this initial deposit or total reserves? What do I put over there? 10. No change. If the SRR is 25%, what is my deposit multiplier? SRR 25, 1 divided by 0.25. It's 4 times. Can you now tell me how much is our deposit? It's a 40. So guys, go and fill that. Now that is your new deposit value. Earlier deposits were 100. Now deposits are 40. Now remember, okay, did you all study, guys, monetary policy instruments? Have you all studied increasing SRR, decreasing SRR? Yes. If you increase SRR, what happens to money supply? If you increase SRR, money supply falls. Can you see that demand deposits are falling here? Earlier demand deposits was 100. Now when you increase the SRR to 25%, money supply is falling. Calculated proof. Okay. Okay, how much of loans is there then? Loans? Is it the balance, right? Come on, balance this, guy. This is, don't ask me how much is loans. Right? This side is 40, the other side also has to be 40. So it's a 30. Right? You balance the balance sheet. Right? You can't balance the balance sheet, then there's a problem. Huh? Okay. Right. Then what is the new value of money supply? M1 is equal to CC plus. Okay. Tell me the one before. Money supply before. We'll compare and see. Money supply before was 110, right? 110. Currency held by public is 10. Demand was 100. Right. After the new one. Okay. Currency held by public. What happens to currency held by public? SRR changed. What happened to currency held by public? No change, right? Did the customer withdraw money? Did the customer deposit money? No. No change at all. That's still the 10, right? So CC is still 10. How much is demand deposit? You calculate the previous question. How much is demand deposits? It's a 40. So how much is our money supply? The new money supply. It's a 50 million. Done. Yes. Yes. Withdrawal part is subtract 400. What is the 40 billion? Guys, the 40 billion, these guys, come on, guys. CC plus DD. So this 10 is CC, this 40 is DD. Okay, done. One last thing. And then we're done, okay? I'm supposed to finish in 2 minutes. Just give me like 5 minutes. Okay, so, right. What would be the answer for part B if the reserve ratio was 5%? Now, SRR 10% became 25. Now they are saying it didn't become 25. It became 5. Now what is going to be the answer for part B? SRR is not 25, right? It's 5. Consolidated. Can you all tell me what is the reserves if SRR is 5? For one last time, what is the reserve if SRR is 5%? No change. Please don't go and change that. No money is coming in, no money is going out. SRR is still the 10. Right. Use our equation. Total deposits equals, right? Equals initial deposit or else the total reserves, guys, I'm writing short forms now, multiplied by the deposit multiplier. How much is our initial deposit or total reserve? 10. If our SRR is 5%, how much is our deposit multiplier? By 0.05. Let's remember 5% is 0.05. Don't divide by 0.5. People do that mistake. It's 20 times. Right? 20. So how much is our total deposit? It's a 200. So deposits 200. If deposits is 200 now for one last time, how much is our loans? Guys, questions that you all come, guys, it goes up because so many people are replying. I missed a lot of questions. It's 190. Done. Okay. Right. To conclude things, how much is the new money supply? Currency held by public demand deposits. CC, how much is CC? It's still 10, right? No one put money, no one took out money. It's still 10. How much is demand deposits? 200. Calculate in the previous question. How much is the new money supply? 210. And we are done. That's done. Hey guys, a few things on my thing, right? I'll give you a little bit of advice. Just give me 2 minutes, right? Okay. Okay. Guys, the balance sheet change on this thing, you give a try, guys. You give a try for the homework that I gave you, because that's homework for a reason. You give a try and then see. Okay. Okay, that's like a summary of credit creation that covers most of the things that you all will be questioned, right? I'm repeating again, maybe people join from the middle and all of it. I was not able to go into very depth, but trust me, all of these are past paper questions. Remember the basics. Remember, single bank. Remember banking system, right? Remember those, and then we should be able to get things done. Okay, these tunes, guys, you can print and get. Okay, we only send you this thing. And again, reminder, your next session, right? Your next session will be on business studies, right? The session will be, we will be summarizing a management lesson, right? So you have operations, marketing, finance, and HR. So in 2 hours, the key areas of one of that, I think it is operations management. I'm not very sure. We will put the topic out soon. That session will be on Wednesday morning, right? So tomorrow will be the Sinhala medium one, right? So again, on Wednesday, we will have the English medium session. So that is, no, there's another sir. I think he's from Royal College. He's a sir from Royal College. So he will be the one who will be doing it. He'll probably be summarizing one of the units. So come for that as well. Again, will be the same time, guys, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. That is basically it from me for today. And apart from that, the target model paper book you all can purchase, guys. We will be sending ideally within another 1.5 weeks, right? Links and all will be sent on the group. Invite your friends, tell them to join. That's up to you all, right? So that's it from me for today, guys. Thank you and have a good day. See you. Bye-bye.
The time has now arrived to wind up today's session. We hope everyone learned something today. I would also like to thank Arshad sir for your valuable time, as well as all the participants for joining here today. And also lastly, guys, again, a reminder, ask your friends to join the WhatsApp groups to register for the seminar, because all the relevant details will be sent to the WhatsApp group. And thank you, everyone.
Hey guys, see you. Bye.
Bye.